Welcome to Central Georgia Focus. I'm your host today, Katelyn Heck. The Better Business Bureau reminds us that Santa is not the only one keeping a list of who's naughty and who is nice this season. Today on Central Georgia Focus, we're talking about the very serious topic of common holiday scams that steal your joy and your hard-earned money. We're going to talk about how to identify fake ads, to offer deep discounts, and some hard-to-find popular items. We'll also share some tips on recognizing scams, especially the old ones that come in new packages now. Our guest today, Kelvin Collins, President and CEO of the Central Georgia Better Business Bureau. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy coming.
Now, we talk a lot this year about, or this time of year, about scams. You know, we've seen it more and more and more, it seems. 2013, it was 1 in 10 adults got scammed. Now, that's increased by almost 35%. Why is that number continuing to grow?
Well, a lot of people are doing things online more than they were back then. And the more we're online, the more it just generates opportunities for our data to be stolen or us to get moved to a different website, thinking we're going to one website and we end up being over to another one, entering information. And also, we're downloading things. When we click on links, sometimes we're downloading malware onto our computers that's going to track what we're doing and steal our identification.
And we all like to think, I would never get scammed, that would never happen to me. But these scammers are getting smarter and smarter, it seems.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people all the time, because you know, we see the scam statistics come out, but that's only the tip of the iceberg, because we speak to people almost on a weekly basis that say, I don't want to report this, I don't want my kids to find out about it, I don't want my friends, so I'm just telling you. So they don't report it, and you know, when you're not reporting it, you're only seeing the ones that do report.
There are some ways that you can kind of get into the mindset when you're trying to buy something online, or you see something that might be too good to be true. You know, kind of the guiding principles, if you will. So if you want to talk a little bit about those.
Well, the best thing to do is remember, if you're not looking for something and you see something that catches your eye, take the time to research it, because that too good to be true deal may not be too good to be true once you start researching. And we talk to a lot of people who impulse buy. I'm an impulse buyer, but once you lose money a few times, you learn, okay, let's take this and compare it over on some reputable retailers and find just the right price. And lo and behold, if you put something in your cart long enough, it usually goes down a little bit. So that could keep you from impulse buying, and that's where people get in trouble, when they impulse buy.
I am an impulse buyer at heart, so that's something that I need to keep in mind. So what are some things people can be cautious of when they're doing a lot of online shopping right now? They're trying to find that perfect gift.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing the online shopping now, and they're getting these emails and text messages from so-called shipping companies that are saying that we're having trouble delivering your product, we need more information. So people are going in, they're entering in information, whether it be their name, address, sometimes they're even putting credit card information in, but this is providing information to scammers that aren't really the delivery company that you think they are. So when you buy something, especially this time of the year, you're buying a lot of things, make sure you're going, whether it's Walmart or Amazon, you go to their page to track your product. You're not just relying on the text message you receive from, we're having trouble delivering your product.
And you mentioned, you know, not just putting in your credit card, just even putting in your name, address, phone number, those things can be, you know, dangerous.
Yeah, you have to remember that identity theft is any way that they can steal your identity. So if they're stealing your name, address, that information, it can be used for other purposes. Another way that people give a lot of information out is the surveys that they do on social media. So when you do those and it asks for your first grade teacher, your, you know, different things like that, people can take that as a whole and be able to guess some of your passwords, because when you go and you create a password, it usually asks, who's your favorite teacher? You know, what dog did you have when you were 12? What street did you live on? So you have to be careful what you're putting online, because you never know how that information is going to be used when it's all kind of combined. And that's why we tell people not to click on unknown links, because sometimes they're data mining different information and putting it all together.
All good things to keep in mind. Now we have it's fun. It's a very serious conversation, but a naughty list, if you will. It's like the 12 days of Christmas, the 12 scams of Christmas. So let's take a look at some of those. We're talking about like fake seasonal jobs, fake charities, fake scams, counterfeit merchandise, fake vacation rentals, non-delivery of online purchases, email scams, phishing scams, those perfect deals that are just off the truck, bait and switches, layaway fees, limited quantities. These are just some of the things that you're seeing right now. What are some of the most common ones that people are typically falling for out of this list?
Well, we talk about a lot of things online, but there's also some things that people get taken every year on that are local. And when you see, sometimes we call them the white panel van scams, but when you see a white panel van in a parking lot selling, you know, the hot sneakers of the year or the electronics or whatever, and you pull up and it's like they show you these electronics or speakers or headset, whatever you want, and you're like, wow, that's a really great price, I'm going to buy that. And then they say, okay, well, let me wrap it up for you. And they wrap it and put it in a box and everything. You get home and you've got one speaker and a brick. So, and then by the time you realize it, this white van's gone. So there's a lot of things that people have to look out for, you know, just when they're out. Make sure you know the retailer that you're buying from. Also, look out for people going door to door selling things. You know, if they're going door to door selling something that's usually hard to get in a store, that's a huge red flag. And the first one that we mentioned were seasonal jobs. You know, a lot of people are wanting to make a little extra money during this time of the year. Well, you know, they come out with this great job you can do from your living room. You don't even have to get dressed to do it, and they're going to pay you all this money. Well, it turns out you're not actually working for a company, you're working for a scam artist and scamming other people, or they're just taking your money and stealing your identity.
I have seen a lot of those on social media lately. You know, great job, work from home, click this link. Another one that was on that list that, you know, is really common this time of year too is charity scams. People have a big heart this time of year. They want to give back, they want to help others, but there are things you need to look out for.
Yeah, this is the time of the year where we really want to help our fellow man, and we really want to do the best that we can do and make ourselves feel good, but also help that fellow person. So we have to look at where our money is going, and there's a lot of fake scams that are going to pop up saying you could help these individuals or kids, different things. I've even seen people put up, you know, the Salvation Army does the bell ringing. Well, make sure that when you give money to that bell ringer, that it actually says Salvation Army on it, because sometimes people just set up a bell or a kettle and start ringing. And the reason we tell people to look out for this is because if you give money to a fake charity or a charity that's not using the money the way that they should, you're not only hurting yourself by losing that money, but you're hurting the charity that you want to help, because they're not getting that money to do their mission.
Right, you want that money that you're giving from your heart to go to the right place.
Yeah.
You talked about some of those things that are in person, the van scams or people going door to door, charities. What are some other ways you can allow for in person? You think of online, but not as much, you know, in person shopping.
Well, in person shopping, you know, make sure that you're looking at the different deals that you're searching for. A lot of people, by the time they go into a store and they purchase something, they've already researched it, they know a good price, you know, but a lot of times people are going in and you know, you see something in the front of the store, that's a great deal. So you put it in your basket, you pay for it, you get home, you find out you got it for $30 less. So, you know, just know what you're buying, know the good price on it, but also know the refund and exchange policy. Refund and exchange policies are where people have a lot of complaints after the first of the year, because they buy these gifts thinking that, oh, I'll take it back if I don't like it or whatever. But refund and exchanges are individual store policies. They're not regulated by any law. So different stores will have different policies, and it's up to you, the consumer, to figure out, okay, if I take this, can I take it back? If so, what's the criteria? Is there a restocking fee? Some stores will have a restocking fee for it. So it's really up to the consumer to know the refund and exchange policy before they purchase it, especially if you're giving it as a gift.
And good things to keep in mind, especially this time of year. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the common types of scams, especially those popular around Central Georgia right now. We'll have some tips for you. Stay with us. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus. Today we're talking all about how to not get caught in a scammer's web of deceit, especially around the holiday season when we're all buying stuff, especially online. We have Kelvin Collins with the Better Business Bureau of Central Georgia with us today, talking about some of the ways that people are getting scammed right now. And there are some things that you can look out for, some red flags, if you will. What are some things that people can keep in mind if they're seeing a deal or something that may be too good to be true?
Well, there's the red flags that we try to tell consumers to be looking for are phantom riches. These are the sweepstakes scams that you see that, you think you're going to win something, but you've never participated in this lottery scam, and they dangle this money in front of you. And you have to remember that if it's a foreign lottery, it's illegal for you to play in the United States, but also you haven't won a sweepstakes that you've not signed up for. And most of these are sweepstakes that they're just dangling money in front of you that you're not going to get. Another thing is source credibility. Make sure you're dealing with who you think you're dealing with. And many scammers, they play on popular names and popular websites so that when you think you're going to a company, you're getting a nice website that looks like the company you're searching for, but it's not. It's only a click and order type company. They're trying to get your information. They're getting you to order something, put in your credit card number, and then you never receive the product because all they've done is they've fished for your information. So, that's another red flag. Also, scarcity. If they are telling you that you only have so much time to participate, or that this product's going to be gone tomorrow, that's a red flag. Take a step back. We all remember the Tickle Me Elmo craze, and I've just dated myself there. But there was not enough to go around, so the prices went up and everything. So they create that scarcity to get you to make an impulse decision. And if it's a good deal today, it's going to be a good deal tomorrow. It's going to be a good deal later. So, just beware of the scarcity. And reciprocity is another. It's a big word, but it basically means they will give you something in order for you to give them something. Had an interesting conversation with my son just last week. He contacted me and said, I got this survey in the mail, but they gave me a $5 bill. So I have to do this, right? It's like, no, they're getting you to give all that information. They're giving you this nice, crisp $5 bill, and he felt like he needed to sit down and fill this thing out. And I forget the percentages, but it goes up from like 30% if they don't send you cash or some item to like 75% if they do. So they're giving you that $5 or $2. I got one for $2 not long ago, but they're giving you that money to get you to feel like it's a necessity that you fill it out. But it's not. Put the money in your pocket, use the address labels that we all get, and just move on.
We also talk about some social consensus too. They want you to think like, oh, everyone else has already done this, you should probably do this too.
Yeah, how many times did our moms tell us, if so-and-so jumped off a cliff, would you do it? This is the same thing. Just because you're seeing a lot of people doing things on social media, whether it's investing or, that's one of the ways that multi-level marketing and pyramid schemes get started so much, is everybody's doing it, so I must get involved. And one of the things that we see this time of the year is it's a secret sister giveaway where I think it's wine this year. So you send a bottle of wine to someone and then enter in 5 names. They're going to send a bottle of wine to, eventually you're going to get like 30 bottles of wine because you're sending one bottle to somebody else. But these things are just gambling. And it's illegal, and it goes into the chain letters that we used to know in the 70s and 80s. But the federal government says that this is a form of gambling, and it's illegal, and you could get caught up into a crime that you didn't want to commit. So always be looking for what is everybody else doing, and do I really need to be a part of it, and what's really in it for me.
That I did not know that about the Secret Sister things. I knew people did them, and it was probably not a good idea to get involved, but the fact that it's illegal, something to keep in mind, because they are all over social media.
Yeah, they really are right now.
Now, what are some other things that you're seeing specifically here in Central Georgia right now?
Well, you're seeing a lot of porch pirates. When you order things, make sure that you're having it delivered at a time when someone's going to be home, or if you can have it delivered to your office, that'd be a great thing. But when people deliver things to your porch and it sits there for hours or all day, you got people that follow the truck and they'll steal the items. And if you have a security system, a lot of times used to we would get their face and we'd be able to post it all over, but now they're wearing hoodies and masks, and you can't really see those things. So look out for that. We've seen a lot of door-to-door pine straw scams. Some people do go door-to-door selling pine straw, but most of what we hear from are people that end up saying, yes, you can put some pine straw out, and they tell you we can do it for $30, for this side of the house, and you think you're getting into it for $100, then they come to your door and say, oh, we need $600. We used more than we thought. And then they get threatening, and this happens a lot with senior citizens, and we've issued a lot of alerts on it. Police have taken a lot of reports on it. But if someone comes to your door, the one thing I want people to understand, your telephone and your door belong to you. You shouldn't allow anyone to threaten you at your door. You don't have to open that door. In the South, we think if we hang up on someone or if we don't open the door, we're being rude. It's not being rude. It's your door. You own it. Take that opportunity to just wave at somebody, say, I'm not interested, and let them go on their way, because you don't want to get in a situation where you're pressured to do anything that you don't want to do.
Right, especially like in the moment, you're thinking, oh, this is a great deal, and then you regret it later. Yeah,
and we've really heard from a lot of, especially senior citizens, talking about how threatening some of the pine straw dealers are. And they come through an area, and they will be in Middle Georgia one day, and they'll be somewhere in Alabama the next day. They're just moving through, trying to separate you from your hard-earned money.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We have more tips and information about scams to help you avoid it this year coming up after the break. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus. We're talking with Kelvin Collins from the Better Business Bureau about ways to avoid getting scammed, especially as we get into the holiday season. We talked a little before the break about senior citizens. A lot of them have issues with saying no to some of these door-to-door salesmen or not realizing some of these internet scams. What are some ways that we can help them to make sure that they don't fall victim to these?
Well, the good thing is that if we just open our eyes and look when we go visit, whether it be a senior neighbor or a family member, if you see a lot of mail that's stacking up, that's usually the sweepstakes offers and things like that. You can see the certain signs, but they are targeting senior citizens, and one of the reasons they're targeting senior citizens is because, number one, they're usually home during the day. Number two, they usually have some type of nest egg, so they've got some money in the bank, so they're prime targets. And they're raised in an era where they want to be nice. And we did a survey several years ago about what separates a victim from a non-victim, and one of the things that separated a victim from a non-victim was victims thought that the person seemed really nice. It was such a nice young man. And we have to remember that, if you take someone at their word, you need to go back and back it up. But also they let themselves get emotional, and don't make emotional decisions. That's a good rule of thumb anytime. But also recognize the persuasion tactics. I mean, these are tactics that they use. And we try to tell consumers, don't act impulsively. Don't take what someone says to create a sense of emergency. You know, you would be very easy to fall for the con of you missed jury duty, so they're going to send somebody out to arrest you. You know, they don't call and tell you that they're going to issue a warrant before they arrest people. I mentioned they're afraid of being rude. Don't let that be something that separates you from your hard-earned money. But also protect your personal information. This is a time where you want to make sure that you're not putting too much information out on social media. You're not telling people when you're going to be on vacation, or you're not showing everything that you got for Christmas. And when we talk about Christmas, break down those boxes. Don't put boxes out at the roadside for the trash pickup showing everything that you got, because that's just advertising that you've got a new big screen television or something. But always look out for people that live alone. These are prime targets for people that are going door to door. They're hoping that they can get someone that's alone. They don't have someone to talk it out with. And I've always said that scam artists need one of two things to be very successful. They need greed or they need need. Now, if you're greedy, you're going to take chances on different things, and you're going to do this investment that a lot of people probably wouldn't. But if you're needy, these are the ones that are heartbreaking, because if you get that letter in the mail saying that you've won this sweepstakes and you're going to get $50,000, and that you see that as a sign from God that, oh my God, I'm going to be able to pay off my car, I'm going to be able to have it repaired or whatever, that need sets off a sense of urgency that you're more likely to fall for that scam. So greed and need, so don't be greedy, but if you're needy, always have someone to talk it through. And that's one of the things that the survey that I mentioned earlier came out with, is that people who had someone to talk it out with were a lot less likely to fall victim to a con, because when we verbalize it, I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I've said something to my wife that sounded really good in my head, but as soon as I verbalized it, it's like, oh, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, wait a minute.
So,
I want to quickly put up the contact information for the Better Business Bureau. If you talk about the best ways for people to contact you, and very quickly some of the resources.
Okay, Better Business Bureau, we're right here in Macon, and then you can call us at 742-7999. You can go to bbb.org. No matter where you're at, and you get any report. There's lots of tips, lots of tools on there that you can utilize. And if you've been scammed, there is a feature that you can go and report the scam, but also find a toolkit that's going to help you recover from that scam. So go to bbb.org, play around, and there's a lot of tools there that can help save you money and help you get your money back if you've been ripped off.
Oh, we only have a couple seconds left, but if you had one final tip to leave people with this holiday season. One
final tip is give with your head as well as your heart. Don't let someone separate you from your hard-earned money just off of emotion.
All right, well, thank you so much for being with us. Some great tips that you've given us. Contact the Better Business Bureau if you have any other questions. And thank you for joining us for Central Georgia Focus.